Let's try something. Forget thinking about your brain as a computer, like a hard drive that just stores files. I want you to imagine it as something much more alive, like a vast living library, an archive that isn't just holding data, it's holding the entire evolving story of you. So let's take a tour of this incredible inner world.
I mean, really think about it for a second. What if your brain is the most sophisticated, most complex library ever created? What if everything you've ever felt, learned, or done is meticulously cataloged right there between your ears? That's the idea, the metaphor we're going to explore together.
Now, just like any great library, your brain's archive isn't just one giant, jumbled room. No way. It's organized into these specialized collections, kind of like different wings, and each one stores a very different kind of information. Let's start the tour with the three main ones.
So, our library basically has three main wings. First up, you've got episodic memory. Think of this as the autobiography section, holding all your personal stories. Then there's semantic memory. That's the huge reference section, just packed with facts about the world. And finally, you have procedural memory. This is less of a bookshelf and more of a workshop, filled with all the how-to guides for skills you've mastered.
Okay, let's look a little closer at that episodic wing. This is where your unique life story lives. That memory of your first concert, a funny conversation you had with a friend, the taste of your favorite food from when you were a kid, these aren't just random files. These are the threads that actually weave together your sense of who you are.
All right, next stop, we're wandering into this massive reference section, semantic memory. This part isn't about your story, it's about the world's story. It's your own personal encyclopedia that tells you that, yep, grass is green, a dog barks, and Paris is the capital of France. It's all that objective knowledge you've picked up over the years.
And our last stop is the procedural collection. Now, these aren't books you read, they are skills you just do. It's the magic that lets you type on a keyboard without looking, or ride a bike, or drive a car without having to consciously think about every single little movement. It's your memory in action. So we know the library has all these different sections, but how do the new books even get written and filed away, right? How does a fleeting moment, just a passing experience, become a permanent part of your personal archive? Well, it's this fascinating three-step journey. It starts when an experience happens. Sights, sounds, feelings, they all come flooding in. This creates a temporary little spark, a pattern of neurons firing that we call short-term memory. But, and this is the key, if your brain decides that information is important, it kicks off step 3. The physical connections between those neurons actually get stronger, etching that memory into a long-term record. And that strengthening process happens because of this beautifully simple rule called Hebbian learning. The core idea is that when brain cells are active at the same time, the link between them gets stronger. You've probably heard the saying, neurons that fire together, wire together. That's it. That is literally the ink that your life story is written with. So who's in charge of this whole filing process? Who's the one taking these new experiences and deciding where they go? Well, meet the head librarian, the hippocampus. This small but absolutely critical part of your brain is responsible for taking those new short-term memories and consolidating them, carefully filing them away for long-term storage in other areas of the brain. This brings us to a really deep idea. Memory isn't just some dusty record of what's already happened. As this quote puts it so well, every memory you make is basically a message you're sending to your future self. It's a piece of intel that's meant to guide what you do and who you become next. Okay, so this library is massive. It's filled with billions of entries. So how on earth does your brain find that one specific memory you're looking for, like what you had for dinner last Friday? Let's take a look at the brain's incredible search engine. First off, we've got to bust a major myth. We all kind of think of memory as a perfect video recording that we can just hit play on. But the science shows us something way, way more interesting. Memory isn't a replay. It is a creative reconstruction every single time. So what does that mean? Well, when you pull up a memory, you're not just grabbing a file. You're grabbing the gist of what happened, sure, but you're also piecing it back together using your current mood, the context you're in, and your brain even helpfully fills in any gaps. Every time you remember something, it's a brand new performance, not a perfect copy of the original. The brain's search engine is all about association. Think of it like a giant invisible web.
A memory isn't just stored by itself in a little box. No, it's connected to countless other memories through context or emotion or meaning. It's why a certain song can instantly transport you back to high school, or the smell of baking bread takes you right to your grandmother's kitchen. One memory just triggers a whole chain of others.
And this leads us to maybe the most incredible part of this entire tour. This archive, this library of you, it's not some static museum collecting dust. It is a living, breathing document. Check this out. Every single time you recall a memory, you're not just reading it. You are, in a very real sense, rewriting it. You strengthen some connections, you might weaken others, and you add new layers of context from who you are today. It explains why your feelings about past events can change so much over time. And it's not a flaw in the system, it's a feature. It's essential for learning and for growing. And this really is the heart of it all. Your memory is the foundation of your self-awareness. This constant process of recalling, reinterpreting, and refiling your personal story, it's not just about remembering the past. It's the very process that you use to define who you are right now and to decide who you're going to be. So, I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. If the library of you is constantly being edited, with new chapters being written and old ones being revised, it means your story is never truly finished, which really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Who are you becoming?